Hello, everybody. This is the Fitness Guru Mario Kuntz, and I'm here with another episode of the Vanguard Fitness Hour Live. Happy to be here. Got some exciting topics to talk about. Got some new upcoming information that's going to be taking place as we move forward, and I've got a fabulous special guest lined up for today. So we're going to get a little bit more of that. We took a little hiatus last week after the visit to Maui. As most of you know, I was on that island with association presenting a couple of topics, and some speaking engagements, some workshops, some seminars. Took a week off, and now we are back and ready to rock and roll. So as always, I'm going to get right into it because we've got 20 pounds of fitness inspiration, motivation, and education to stuff into a 10-pound bag. So let's get going right away. So again, I've received the questions that have been responded to on the Facebook page. Looking forward to sharing that feedback with you as we go forward, and I appreciate that feedback and that engagement that you guys have been so generous to provide. So next week we're going to be recapping a lot of your submissions and going over that. So with that, we're going to cut the music and get right into our initial topics for the day. And with that, our first that we need to start to cover is, as always, what's new with the Fitness Guru. So I got a couple things that have been really exciting. So on April 6th, I conducted an online class with Advocate South Suburban Hospital. Have a diabetic prevention program. So I had an opportunity to come on and talk with their participants and also promote and conduct an online fitness and exercise regimen. It was basically a circuit training set designed for home use. So a lot of these, the folks that are participating in the project and in the class have not felt comfortable enough going out into public facilities for like gyms and that sort of thing. So a lot of those workouts have been confined to home. So with that, I put together a routine that was fabulous, really energetic, really required a lot of discipline and some stick-to-itiveness because some of the movements were fairly new to the participants, but they did exceedingly well. Shout out to Miss Darlene Paris, who is the coordinator for that program, for bringing me in once again and allowing me to work out and interact with the participants in her class. So that was a fantastic opportunity. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to doing it once again. So again, Advocate South Suburban Hospital. If you are considered to be a pre-diabetic, they have an excellent program that you can participate in to help you to manage that process and reverse some of the tendencies that could lead you to developing type 2 diabetes. So if you would like more information on that project, that program, please feel free to reach out to me either through Facebook, or you can email me. I'm going to put all that information up, and I'll make sure that I send that information to you. Would love to have you participate in that sort of a program. Next up, Vanguard Fitness Bracelets. Now, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I have been going back and forth with a few different manufacturers, some designers, and I finally settled in on one that I really like. This is a young woman based out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So I'm actually wearing one right now. So, of course, the colors of the company are representative. I got the red, the black, and the green in there. You notice the dumbbell right to the front that I have positioned on my wrist, and she's got those in different colors. So this one is like a gunmetal color. She's also produced some with gold dumbbells as well, some with silver dumbbells, and then other folks that like to have a little bit of color. She's got some that do not have the company colors on there, but they are very fashionable nonetheless. If you are interested in receiving one of those, I'm going to have that information on my social media pages. So if you are looking to have one of those and really to express your dedication to the fitness lifestyle, I'd be more than happy to make sure that you have one of those and you can add that to your fashion repertoire. So Vanguard Fitness Bracelets, they're up, ready to go. I got some fabulous pictures that I'm going to be putting up on social media, so you'll be able to see those and place your orders for them. So looking forward to that also. Next up, I have been in the process of negotiating for some different sites where we're going to produce the show from. One is a fitness facility. Another one is actually a chiropractic office. Another one is a multi-purpose use studio. So, and then of course, with the weather starting to turn, hopefully we'll start to get some decent temperatures out there. We're actually going to do some outdoor broadcasts, taking full advantage of the beautiful scenery that we get here once spring has really set in. So I'm looking forward to doing that, broadcasting and showing you some different locations and some different options. So we're going to get you out of my office and into some different settings. So really looking forward to doing that. And then finally, what's new with the Fitness Guru, the final topic for that, Vanguard Flexibility Enhancement classes are taking place in May. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Basically, a lot of the activities and medical stretches and flexibility training and methodologies that I utilize when I'm working with chiropractic patients, when I'm working with my exercise rehab patients, when I'm working with my physical therapy patients, even when I'm working with my personal training clients, either before or after their workouts have been conducted or are about to begin. I'm going to be integrating a lot of that into a class, because what has happened is a lot of people, and I see this more and more, they just kind of jump right into their training without regard for warming up the muscles. It's a lot like jumping into a car in the dead of winter and just starting it and taking off. You want to warm those muscles up. You want to get them pliable. You want to loosen them up. You want to get the blood flowing so that you're more apt and able to get yourself through your workout regimen. So I'm going to be showing a lot of that. In addition to that, it's not just for exercise and working out and training. It's also for functional strength, pliability, just being able to get through your everyday life. So I'm going to be demonstrating and performing some stretches that you can use just to keep yourself limber and flexible so that you're able to get through your daily, day-to-day activities without any undue stress or strain. So Vanguard Flexibility Enhancement classes, look for those in May. All right, that leads me to the Vanguard Commentary. So this is the point where I take a topic and I share with you my beliefs on it, my unfiltered kind of take on different subject matter. And this one really developed out of the fact that the more I talk with individuals, because I engage and I interact with a lot of different people on a lot of different planes in several different settings, whether they be social settings, professional settings, that sort of thing. And particularly in the medical field that I operate in, I have just patient after patient that come in and they're dealing with these debilitating conditions, and they're in pain, they're uncomfortable, they can't sleep, they can't function, they can't drive, that sort of thing. And one thing that I found in common is the attitude, and it's the way that they present their conditions and how it's affecting them. And so the topic of my commentary is stop claiming those ailments. What do I mean by that? I hear statement after statement. My sciatica is acting up. I have high blood pressure. I got that sugar, when they're referring to diabetes. That bad back of mine is acting up again. So all these things really take ownership in a physical condition that's really hindering you. And when you take ownership of it, it's like you're saying that this is mine. This is something that is me. It defines me. And your ailments do not define you. Take a different position. Now you may have that ailment. You may have something that's restricting you, but it's not something that can't be overcome. And a lot of that starts with developing a positive attitude. So take a change. Don't just automatically assume, this is mine. This is something I have to own up to. This is a part of me. This is something I'm always going to be dealing with. Change your attitude. I get a lot of questions from people that, I'll get compliments on, my level of health, the fact that you'd never see me sick, those sorts of things. A lot of it begins with that mental approach. I tell myself that I am fit, that I am strong, that I am flexible, that I'm not someone that's susceptible to a lot of ailments and that sort of thing. And it really has a benefit. Now, of course, you got to put in the work. You've got to eat right. You've got to train. You've got to get adequate amounts of rest. You've got to manage your stress. But it starts up here. This, in my opinion, is the most effective muscle that you can train. So when you train it properly, it's going to help you to overcome a lot of the obstacles that in most cases we put in our own way. So again, stop claiming those ailments. That's my commentary for the day. And I hope it changes some attitudes and perceptions. Next up, the Vanguard Fitness Word of the Week. And this is the point where I'll take a term that some may have heard about. Maybe there are individuals that have never heard of it, but I try to take it and break it down into a meaning that people can easily digest and start to utilize and add to their own lexicon, right? So the word that I decided to select was a very common one, and that word is toning. Well, what does toning mean when people say that I'm looking to tone? I need to improve my level of tone. I want to, when I have folks fill out a questionnaire when I'm taking on new clients, one of the biggest responses that I get is that I'm looking to tone. Well, what does toning mean? It's basically your muscular definition. It's the level of or the appearance of a well-defined muscle. So what happens is it's basically short for the term tonus. And tonus is basically a technical term used to describe the contraction of a muscle as it performs a physical activity like exercise. So the more contractions you make throughout an exercise regimen, the more definition, that you've heard that term, pumped up, right? So the more you contract that muscle, the more definition is going to be shown. So even post-exercise, you still maintain some of that. You begin to assume a toned appearance or a toned look. That's basically all toning is. It's making sure that the muscles are, not only are they there, but there's an appearance of them. You can see them. You can see the shape and the fullness of the muscle. So that's what toning is. So when you say that, you're looking to tone, basically you're looking to develop your muscles in a position or get them to a state where they're actually shown. And you can see the cuts and the definition and that sort of thing. You're shedding that body fat, which obscures muscle definition. So that's all part of toning. And that is the word that we wanted to focus in for our Vanguard Word of the Week. All right, so hopefully that helps some people out. Next up, we've got our first article of the day. Now, normally I do 2 articles, but because I have a special guest today for the sake of time, just going to cover one. And it's a great one because I happen to be speaking with a group of high school students, and they were all athletes. And one of the questions that inevitably comes up is the question of steroid use. And in a lot of cases, it starts early on. Individuals, particularly young boys, for example, are looking to gain a competitive edge. They want to be able to lift more. They want to be able to hit harder. They want to be able to jump higher, those sorts of things. So that question comes up. And I like to tackle that question head on. So I have these very in-depth and open and honest discussions with these individuals because, in my opinion, I'm always going to be an advocate for going the natural route. I look at steroids as a shortcut. I look at steroids as something that has long-term effects that are going to be definitely negative toward the user, particularly over extended periods of time. The other thing that kind of got me thinking about this topic, I was watching a documentary. I used to be a big fan of wrestling, right? And as they were going through this production, they were noting and highlighting wrestler after wrestler that I was familiar with, that I'd grown up with, right? And these guys, to a man, I mean, one after another, dead in their 40s, dead in their 40s, dead in their 30s, maybe a couple in their 50s. And these were guys that I really looked up to. They looked to be pillars of health. I mean, bulging biceps, big old quads, well defined. They look like their cardiovascular systems were just off the chain. And, I really admired a lot of these folks. And it really came down to the fact that, I didn't know that, at the time these people were, doing these kind of steroids, but a primary cause for a lot of that were the negative ramifications of steroid abuse, liver damage, high blood pressure. You just had this slew of negative side effects. So that really caused me to find a story that would highlight that. So this topic that I have for today, or the article 1 for our Vanguard Today in Fitness news story, is bodybuilding steroids linked to long-term testicular damage. And this was found by a study. This was conducted in published March 9th of this year. And I'm going to go ahead and get into it and discuss it just a little bit. Men who use anabolic steroids in large doses will have issues with testosterone and sperm production, and they may not recover even after they stop using steroids. So that's one point that I want to make clear. Even though the steroid use has ceased, the effects are remaining. Men who use anabolic steroids to build muscle, and I should not, this article does highlight men, but it does affect women as well, because there are women who abuse steroids also. Men who use anabolic steroids to build muscle for that perfect bod may be harming their testicular function for years after they stop taking the drugs, according to a new study of non-athletic bodybuilders. It has been unclear whether illicit use of anabolic steroids cause a long-lasting or even persistent impairment of the testosterone production in the testicles, said study author Dr. John Rasmussen, a scientist at a highly specialized hospital affiliated with the University of Copenhagen. These results suggest a long-lasting testicular dysfunction, Rasmussen said via email. His message to men who are thinking of using them to enhance their body: don't even consider it. Use of anabolic steroids can cause persistent adverse effects on several organs in the body and could even be lethal. Anabolic steroids are synthetic, lab-made variations of the male sex hormone testosterone. Use of these artificial steroids impairs the hypothalamus, pituitary, and testicular hormonal axis, which then stops the testicular production of testosterone and impairs fertility, Rasmussen said. Recovery of this hormonal axis can be long-term, or it may not recover at all, he said. Use of anabolic steroids has been linked to shrunken testicles, lower testosterone levels, decreased sex drive, poor erections, and low sperm counts, as well as breast growth and hair loss. A lot of people think anabolic steroid abuse is just a problem of cheating in sports among professional athletes. Dr. Shalander Bashin, a Harvard Medical School professor of medicine who was not involved in the study. The real story is that the vast majority of anabolic steroid users, more than 90%, are not elite athletes. In fact, they are not athletes at all. They are recreational bodybuilders who use these compounds to look leaner and more muscular, said Bashin, who chaired the task force on testosterone treatment for the latest endocrine study of Society of Clinical Practice Guidelines, long-term testicular damage. The study published, again, Tuesday of March of this year, March 9th. The Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism followed 132 men between the ages of 18 and 50 who did recreational strength training. The men who fell into three groups: never users, never used steroids at all; current users, or former users of anabolic steroids who quit nearly 3 years earlier. So we've got a nice 3-year gap in between these studies. But because testosterone levels fluctuate throughout the day, the study used a new marker to determine a lack of testicular function called serum insulin-like factor 3. This is a hormone made by the same cells in the testes that make testosterone. Compared with never users, men who once used steroids had much lower concentrations of this product. The longer the men had used steroids, the lower the levels, the study found. The majority of anabolic steroid users are recreational bodybuilders, experts say. One of the major takeaways of this study is that former users of anabolic steroids still show gonadal dysfunction, and gonads are basically the male and female reproductive hormones. So in males, it's the testes. In females, they are the ovaries. So when you hear the term gonads, you'll know what that means. Dysfunction for more than 2.5 years following anabolic steroid cessation, Rasmussen said. The study is important in confirming what clinicians have who care for patients who have previously known long-term use of anabolic steroids can suppress testicular function. And even when these men stop using anabolic steroids, the recovery of testicular function can be incomplete, or recovery may not occur at all, Bashin said. Abuse of anabolic steroids is connected to more than sexual dysfunction. It's important to note this. Use is linked to high cholesterol, high blood pressure, in cardiovascular diseases such as heart attacks, artery damage, and strokes, even in athletes younger than 30. So that's the tie-in with the young folks I was talking about, the high school students, right? This is all according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Liver damage can also occur along with a rare condition. This is called pilosis hepatitis, in which the blood-filled cysts in the liver start to form, overgrow, and then they burst. Use of anabolic steroids can cause acne and hair loss, and prematurely signal the bones to stop growing in youth, thus stunting growth. Research also indicates that some adolescents misuse steroids as part of a pattern of high-risk behaviors, such as drinking and driving, carrying a gun, driving a motorcycle without a helmet, and using other illicit drugs. Some studies found a link between anabolic steroid use and irritability and aggression. So you've all heard of the term, or maybe you haven't, roid rage, right? So this is what the study is talking about. Others have linked moderate to high doses of anabolic steroids with anxiety, mania. What we're talking about is basically being paranoid, all right? Major depression, and a list of other side effects that continue to climb. There is this popular perception, widely misplaced, that somehow these drugs are safe and the side effects can be managed. But studies are now showing that they are connected to cardiovascular disease, even early cognitive dysfunction. And now we're talking about the mental effects of it. And 100% of the men who use anabolic steroids in large doses will have issues with testosterone and sperm production. And then, depending on the duration of use, many of these men will not fully recover even after they discontinue use. So, steroid use as a shortcut, not a good idea. You definitely want to reconsider that. Talk with a health professional if you are concerned about, muscle growth, someone that can assist you in athletic performance and development. Do it the right way. Okay, anabolic steroids definitely have a lot of negative side effects of it. The story was an excellent one. It's a great point, and it was I was pleased to be able to use that as a talking point for the presentation that I did with the young men at the school that I was referred to earlier on. And I hope the story had some good information in it that you can use also. All right, next up. Got a brand new Vanguard question of the week, and that question of the week is, how has your weight been affected by the pandemic? Now, I've listed a few different questions. You're hearing a lot of comments about the quarantine 15, and folks have been picking up weight because they're not as active. Maybe their eating habits changed. They're ordering out, having food delivered to them more without the benefit of physical activity on a regular basis. So how has that actually affected you? So that is going to be the question of the week. It's a carryover from from week 12, from my last broadcast when I was out of town. I was broadcasting live from Maui. And I heard from a lot of people, because I did the broadcast outdoors, there was a lot of wind and that sort of thing. So a lot of folks did not actually hear what the question of the week was. So I decided to carry it over into this week. So again, the Vanguard question of the week is, how has your weight been affected by the pandemic? You've got three options to select as responses. Okay, so I did expand it beyond just the traditional yes or no. So your options are A, I've gained some weight. B, I actually lost some pounds. Or C, no change, I've maintained my pre-pandemic weight. So I'm very eager to find out what category you fall into. You can find the Vanguard question of the week posted on Vanguard Exercise Management's Facebook page. You'll also see it on the Instagram page, and I'm going to be posting updates on those two sites in addition to YouTube and Mixcloud. So feel free to chime in. I'm going to have that post up later in the day, and I'm looking forward to getting as many responses as possible so that I can share the responses and the results with you. All right, next question. Next topic, and that topic is let's see, we'll pull this down just a little bit. Here we go, our fitness tip of the week. Our fitness tip of the week is very simply stated, do good. And I have to say that the reason for this, my selection of this particular topic, the news has really, I'm going to be very upfront with you. The news lately has really been bumming me out. It's really been bringing me down. Everything that's going on in Minnesota, Here in the city that's closest to me, the city of Chicago, we had the shooting of Adam Toledo. It's just a bombardment of just negative story after story, and it can really weigh you down, and it can really have a negative effect on your outlook of things. So particularly when I was looking at the story about Adam Toledo, there are just so many things that seemed wrong and out of place with that. If you're not familiar with it, you can easily find the information online. But this is a 13-year-old that was basically chased by had a gun in his hand. He was involved in a shooting earlier, and he was actually killed by police. And a couple of the things stood out to me. First of all, this is a 13-year-old that was out at, I think, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So my initial reaction as a parent is, why is this kid out at this time of night? He was also with an adult, a 21-year-old, who was involved apparently in some criminal activity. So that's another thing. 13 years old. Why am I hanging out with a 21-year-old? Why am I involved in this? Why is he involved in this shooting? So there's just so many things wrong. So I spent some time thinking, how can I tie this into a fitness topic? How can this play a role in eliminating the possibility of that happening again? I wasn't really sure until I thought about it. Well, this is a youth, obviously, that was misguided. At some point, he came into interaction or connection with some nefarious individuals that really steered him on the wrong path. And I couldn't help thinking that if he had the positive influences in his life, the right kind of people guiding him, the right kind of activities to keep him occupied, moving in a positive manner, doing something that's beneficial, some activities that he could feel good about, maybe there would have been a different outcome. So my fitness tip of the week is, simply put, do good. What I'm basically talking about is giving back and volunteerism. It has been found, studies have shown that volunteering in an amount of 4,000 hours a week, and that breaks down to about 30 minutes a day. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. So let's say 30 minutes a day spent volunteering can lead to decreased lower levels of stress in the body. So just by doing good, giving back, maybe you're engaging in a youth organization, a social service club, Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Maybe you're going to participating in an outreach program. There's a lot of different options that you can take. So by utilizing that volunteerism kind of activity and mentality, you can do some good. You can have an impact on an individual so that maybe you can prevent the next Adam Toledo. So again, Vanguard Fitness tip of the week is to do good. So do good, give back, and chill. You're going to get some benefits for you because you're going to help to reduce your own stress levels. And isn't that something that we can all benefit from? All right. Next is our Vanguard exercise of the week. So as you know, each broadcast, I will demonstrate a different exercise. And then after the fifth exercise, we're going to string them all together into a mini circuit set. So our exercise of the week is going to be the rear dumbbell raise. What target muscles does that affect? I'm going to tell you. Both the posterior and lateral deltoid. So we're talking about the shoulder toward the rear and toward the side. This is the lateral deltoid. This is the posterior deltoid. It also benefits the triceps, which is the back part of the arm. It's specifically the triceps brachii is the medical terminology or anatomical terminology for that. I'm going to demonstrate it so you can see that and hopefully integrate it into your own workout regimen. So here we go. I'm going to start off by grabbing a set of dumbbells. Hopefully I don't lose you on camera. I'm going to take a pronated grip, so my palms are facing back. Arms are extended straight down to my sides. The heads of the dumbbells are pointed or positioned right on the lateral positioning of my quadriceps. I'm going to soften the knees up, just a slight bend forward. Okay? I'm going to elevate that arm back. I'm going to keep a straight arm position. What I don't want is to have a bend in it, all right? So I want to keep those arms nice and straight. I'm going to elevate as high as I can, keeping my core nice and tight. I'm going to bring it right back down to the starting position. So I'm going to knock out a set of 5 of those, okay? And 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Bringing it up. I want to pause. And then I bring it back down under control. That's a 1. Elevate. and 2. I'm giving myself about a 2 to 3 second pause at the top. So it's 1, 2, 3. That's 3. 2 more of those. Bring it up and down. 1 more of those. You get a nice little burn in the triceps and also the shoulders, the deltoids. I'm going to throw on one just for the heck of it. Let's bring it up and pause. Very good. So those are our rear dumbbell raises. So a lot of people look for different variations of exercises or movements that they can perform for their shoulders. So it's not just, you're not just limited to overhead presses, right? Or military presses. You can target those deltoids and the triceps in different ways by using the rear dumbbell raise. So next time you want to add some spice to your own workout regimen, try utilizing that and including it in your exercise next shoulder day or arm day. All right. That brings us up to a very special part of the show that I've been looking forward to. And this is the part where I bring on a guest. This is actually my third guest on the show. And this is an individual that I met, I guess, a couple of years ago. I was actually doing a presentation for a local village, the village of Park Forest. I was talking about my gym and the benefits of exercise. I gave the audience members some questions, really engaging with them. Afterwards, I had a chance to go through the crowd and mingle a little bit. And I met this gentleman who happened to be, and I didn't know it at the time, a manager at General Nutrition Center, more commonly known as GNC. We started a conversation, we exchanged information, and we've been friends ever since. This gentleman is so knowledgeable about supplements and how they benefit the body and how the effects that they have and different products that are out there and new ones that are coming up on the horizon and different brands and different strategies and how you stack supplements. I mean, just a wealth of information. It was just a joy just talking to him, and I learned something new every time we have a conversation. My guest today is Mr. Taylor Novak. And I'm going to bring him on right now because I got some great questions that I want to run by him. I know you're eager to meet him just as much as I am to introduce you to him. So let's bring him out right now. I've got with me Mr. Taylor Novak. I'm going to change my position and we're going to have our conversation. So Taylor, come on out, my friend.
How's it going?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's good. All right. Have a seat, my friend. All right. So normally, I'm always starting with a mask, okay? And so because that is a big important part of making sure that we're all safe. We're still in a pandemic environment, and that has not changed. We both had our masks on earlier. However, we have both been tested, and we have both tested negative. So that I don't want you to think that, well, I'm just throwing care out of the window. It is very important to stay masked up. I've got mine. Taylor has his also. We just, for the sake of this show, and let's see what his looks like. Oh, he's got his right there. And what does it say on that? Is that
General Nutrition Center?
GNC. That is a company man right there. He's got his GNC mask with him also. So I just want to make sure that that is known and understood. We both are very big proponents of making sure that you remain safe throughout this pandemic. And we're going to get through this all together, just like we've made it to this point. So having said that, Taylor, it is great to have you, and I appreciate you coming on and meeting with me. When I started this show, when I thought about folks that I could actually bring out and interview and ask questions of, your name was the first one that popped in my head. And I know that we have dealt with some scheduling issues. It was kind of hard to kind of match things up and make sure that you were going to be available and that sort of thing. But I'm glad you made the time. I'm glad we were able to coordinate things, and just really pleased to introduce you to the audience. So, all right. So I'm going to jump right into it. Now, obviously, you've been a manager at GNC. You were a manager when I met you, and you really experienced. I mean, you've seen the side of the supplement industry that I just kind of read about. I mean, you live it, you know it. How did you come to work for basically the largest global specialty health, wellness, and performance retailer out there?
So I went to school to become a doctor. When I learned what training doctors to do, I was slightly turned off. So I went a different direction. I became a chemist, and I was working for testing quality control for energy products.
Oh, wow.
So coal and oil and gas and minerals and other products used for energy. So then my father got sick, and he ended up passing away from cancer. So
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that.
I ended up helping him with his businesses after I was a chemist, and then got into the nutrition industry. Started off as a salesperson, and then ended up working my way to be a manager and managed many locations. So now I'm at the Matson location, and been helping people get healthy ever since.
Matson, Illinois. That's where you
In
will
Matson.
find him. And I'm sure you're going to share your contact information and
Yeah.
where your store is located
For
afterwards. But yeah, so that's, and I've actually been to the store a few times, and great location. He runs an outstanding operation here. And you know, again, just pleased to be to have this this person as someone that, you know, I can rely on for, you know, accurate information. He gives me the straight the straight dope base when I ask him questions and that sort of thing. So one of the things that's always kind of piqued my interest. Sometimes there's some confusion among consumers as to how they should refer to their local GNC store. I mean, how should you refer to it? Is it a health retailer? Is it a supplement store? Is it a vitamin store? Or is it something else entirely? How would you frame that? How do you define what a GNC is?
So I would say it's a conglomerate of everything you mentioned. At my location, I definitely train my employees and also practice relationship sales. So I want to get to know my customers. I want to find out what is the root of the problem and what they really want to take care of and how they want to better themselves, and work with them to get to that final goal. So I kind of look at it as a local hub for health. So even if you don't end up buying anything, just if you have questions that you're not getting answers from anyone else for, people come talk to me and figure out, we try to work through different problems and come up with good solutions through natural, supplementation and dietary changes, lifestyle changes. Like you were saying earlier, the mental aspect of everything is really huge right now. So the better aspect and outlook you have on life, the better usually you're gonna feel, the better you're gonna be. So I would say it's more of like a local hub for not only supplements that you can buy, but also information you can get without having to necessarily pay for it. So.
Gotcha. Now, this is something that came up as I was going through the story that I read, the Fitness in the News story, the article that I shared.
Yeah.
How often, now, I love the fact that you mentioned addressing problems in a natural way, in referring to the products that you offer there and that sort of thing. We're talking about something that's unnatural. Going back to the article, steroids. What's your take on that? Because what I found is that it does tend to be somewhat segmented, where you get certain groups of individuals. In my experience, and maybe yours is totally different, but it's tended to be young men, usually high school age, usually student athletes in a lot of cases, bodybuilders, adult males for the most part, really just looking to gain that edge. And of course, not to mention, professional athletes, but I don't interact with them nearly as much. I do know some, but what is your take on that? So kid walks into the store, and I could take these, start to increase my protein intake, but I need it now.
So especially around 18, typically your hormones are optimal. In your lifetime, you probably will not receive a better set of hormones if you've had a normal life without sickness or disease. So at that age is really can be detrimental when you're ideally optimized already by nature, and your body that you have is figuring out what it's going to be. So I've had numerous interactions with people, and there are coaches out there, there are parents out there that want their children to succeed. So
Sure.
In the world we live in, we have, it's a very competitive life. So we're always looking to compete, to get better, and it's always easier to cheat than it is to do the work. So I've had parents come and ask for growth hormone supplements, testosterone for their 15-year-old children. And I send them to, somewhere else because I don't agree with that. I don't think that we should be manipulating children's hormones. I don't think that kids should look into it. And there's really not a whole lot unless you have a physical condition or a disease that has altered. Typically, under 18, I wouldn't recommend anyone manipulate their hormones with any synthetic or, even the true to life hormone replicants that they will use in hormone replacement doctors' offices. I've also had clients who have come to me after being on testosterone supplements for years, whether it be a cream or injection.
Sure.
And as you were speaking earlier, they no longer produce testosterone. They no longer feel like doing anything because their energy, their what made them man, which is what testosterone does.
Absolutely.
It's gone because you synthetic chemicals that is very similar enough to trick your body into believing that you have enough of this hormone to be okay. When in reality, it's not your body doing it, it's an external source. So when you do that, your body, the term you use it or you lose it holds true in most things in the human body. So if you are replacing something that your body will do naturally in synthetic form, then you're going to end up in a detrimental, more detrimental than someone who did not. So there are natural ways you can enhance your testosterone levels at any age. Physical activity, healthy food, supplementation, there's herbs, there's a lot of things that people don't realize. Just simple every day, even taking a multivitamin, you need certain vitamins and minerals, you need certain things to make these hormones. So you need cholesterol, you need different things, base them off. So when doctors tell patients they need on a cholesterol medication because cholesterol that will effectively reduce your not your 10 levels but your testosterone levels. So on a cholesterol medication from a doctor like a statin, you're going to experience a lot more heat. You're going to experience, and it's not it's multi-phase, it's multi-level. So everything in the body is good, and when you do one thing over here, it does affect other things in other parts of the body. So it's always better to err on the side of caution whenever you're thinking of manipulating your hormones, and definitely do your research and think long and hard before you make something that could change what happens for the rest of your life. Because especially if you're younger, you got a long time to live.
Yeah.
So that would be my overall take on it is, do the herbal nutritional and exercise route and maybe save the testosterone supplements and stuff like that until, you're actually in need of it, because typically testosterone doesn't start to decline until you're about 28. Okay. But we are living in a society where testosterone is lower than it's ever been in history. So I can see the desire for a lot of guys looking towards cheating by injecting or using external creams or sources of hormones.
Gotcha.
So,
now you mentioned statins. Now statins, if I'm not mistaken, drugs that are utilized to reduce cholesterol levels, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So just so our audience knows, a lot of times when individuals are diagnosed with high cholesterol levels, they'll be prescribed a drug referred to as a statin, and that's what is used to help to reduce and control those levels. Not without side effects, though. If you do some research on statins, you can find some pretty scary stuff. So, just not to get too off track, but you always want to, don't just allow your physician to just hand you a script. Ask questions. Before you get that prescription filled, you start popping those things. Find out what it is. Find out about it. Ask those questions. Get your information. And that's why someone like Taylor is so beneficial, because you can walk in his store, and if you've got a question about a product, he's going to get it for you. And in the rare cases, I've never actually seen it, but I suppose there's something that he might be asked that he would not know. Trust me, he's going to find out for you. And that's the kind of person he is. And that's why I really enjoy my association and friendship with him. So, next question. Taylor, you come from a traditional bricks and mortar style of retail supplement company, store setting, right? But what I'm finding is that more and more supplements are being sold online, as opposed to going to your neighborhood store and walking in and talking with someone like you that's going to be informative, giving them that that personal touch, that sort of thing. How do you see that affecting the industry? Is this beneficial? Is it negative? What do you think about this kind of transition that's taking place in the industry?
So you can walk into a dollar store now and buy supplements if you so desire. You can walk into Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, pretty much any big box store at this point in time, grocery stores even, and even there's no lack of finding supplements for those people that know what they're doing and understand what they're buying. Then by all means, if you know what you're doing and have your own homework done, then you may want to purchase those lower priced items or discounted stuff at the dollar stores. But you're typically not always going to get the same results as you will from a more reputable company who focuses on that, because say you go into a Walmart and you want to buy a multivitamin or you want to buy some supplement, and you may have to ask someone there, if you have questions, they're not going to be able to tell you any answers. The employees at the big box stores, you'll have to go ask a pharmacist, and pharmacists are typically trained mostly in pharmaceuticals, which you obviously have to have a prescription for. Right. So they're not necessarily trained or learned in natural supplementation and how the different benefits may come versus or including with pharmaceutical drugs. So supplements can help with a lot of different things, and they also can be taken incorrectly or poor quality, and you can have poor side effects as anything. So, and they can lead to abuse. They can lead, there's a lot of different things. You can get things much cheaper, and it's nice that way. And so the online thing is a new form of what the big box stores have done. So basically now, today, we have a lot of people that just click and they, everyone wants everything fast right now. They want results immediately. So it's great for people who know what they're doing and are satisfied with the products that they're purchasing. If they do have questions, I highly recommend they go to a place where they're going to be able to talk to someone or ask questions in person, typically where there can be some kind of interaction. So not everything is cookie cutter as it seems. And a lot of natural supplements have more beneficial side effects than negative side effects. So you may take a vitamin for one thing and you notice that something else improves, or you may take fish oil for one reason and notice that something else improves.
That's a good point.
So there are numerous, studied supplements that can be beneficial, and if you're questionable and you don't know what you're doing, if you're not familiar with the industry or if you're not familiar with the products you're buying, I recommend trying to find someone. But the online is definitely it's nice for people who want that convenience and shopping from home and having stuff delivered. But yeah, if you're questioning stuff, then I would definitely recommend seeking out further information before you do purchase stuff from a big box store because typically won't get an answer from people there. Or same thing with online. If you're going to purchase online, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Try to find someone who does, or do your due diligence homework. Before.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. That's a good point. Next, dietary supplements are, in fact, because there's a lot of questions about regulation in terms of different products that are out there. But dietary supplements, if I'm correct, are regulated by the FDA. However, classified as foods, not as drugs. Now, workout supplements, sports supplements, however, are unregulated for safety. So basically, they can stay on store shelves until there's a reason to pull them off. Like a lot of people have had, negative side effects, class action lawsuits, things like that, right? Do you think that should change? Should the FDA get involved in an FDA, Food and Drug Administration? Should the FDA become involved in the regulation of the supplement industry? What do you think about that?
So for me, it's a very touchy subject, but so technically the FDA does not regulate supplements. On pretty much everything we sell in our store, we have to say on the label, this product has not been tested or qualified for treating or curing or any remedy for any disease specifically.
Gotcha.
You can make general claims, but you can't say this is going to cure this is going to fix you, this is going to heal you, so they do regulate the wording on the packaging so that you cannot overstep your bounds into the pharmaceutical realm. That's where it gets tricky. So it's very, I should say, very nuanced what the FDA actually regulates at all. So if you see commercials saying that this drug has been regulated by the FDA, and then you see the list of cancer, diabetes, all these rare,
all the side effects,
fun side effects that you really want to get into if you're sick.
Right.
It's very frustrating to say, people come to my store every day and ask if our products are regulated by the FDA. They're technically not. So nothing on our shelves is necessarily the good thing about GNC is we do work closely with the FDA, so we have a lot more standard quality checks than most companies. So you're more likely to get a better quality product from GNC shelves than your typical big box store or online retailer. So, figured out the question.
No, just no. I mean, actually, that's really answering. I'm really trying to get a picture of whether or not you think that the FDA should become involved in more regulation, or should they continue on with this kind of laissez-faire approach that they have, where it's kind of hands off.
So what the natural industry is actually doing is there are companies that do try to regulate and they try to set standards when the FDA does not set forward certain specifications for people to do so. So the top of my head, I'm not recalling the names of the organizations, but they are out there, and I believe NSO. But anyway, they do have people that are asking the FDA for more regulation because there have been companies that have put out products that have had pharmaceutical grade ingredients or things that work as effectively as pharmaceuticals because the manufacturer of those supplements snuck a little bit of chemical that's not natural in there. So those are the times when the FDA will step in and when they do discover, this had Viagra in it, this had steroids in it, this. So that's when they will, when there's impingement upon the pharmaceutical industry, then that's when the supplement industry will get in trouble.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that helps. All right. So I was really curious about that.
Like I said, there's a very nuance and they're working on it. I think that the organizations that are regulating things need to also be regulated a little better, in my opinion. But that's my opinion.
Okay. and I appreciate it for it. Let's get down into the kind of nitty gritty. Folks that are looking to improve their health or overall, let's say, athletic performance.
Sure.
Why do I need supplements? I mean, can't I get everything that I need from my diet?
Common misconception. I eat a fully balanced diet and I work out and I'm not deficient in anything.
Okay.
So that may have been the case 100, 150 years ago, but today the quality of food has been degraded significantly. Most people are eating fast, quick, eating highly processed foods or at least minimally processed foods. Okay. Foods that are your great-grandpa, great-grandmother would not recognize.
Let me interject for just a second. Taylor has mentioned processed foods a couple of times in his response. Basically, when we're talking about processed foods, foods that are getting further and further away from their natural state. So you think at at its bare minimum, an unprocessed food would be something that you grow out of the ground. You pick it, you eat it. Okay, that's unprocessed. Processed foods, they're packaged, they're bagged up. There are additives that are used to extend shelf life, those sorts of things. So that's kind of the difference, and that's what he's talking about with the prevalence of that. And he's saying that the food quality has become degraded as part of that. Am I correct in assuming that?
Absolutely correct. Okay. So yeah, there's quite a large list of chemicals that have been, released in the last, say, 50 years that most of us consume on a daily basis. And when they take the blood of, say, an umbilical cord of a pregnant mother, or I believe that the most current one is about 100 typical chemicals that aren't natural found in blood, and that's traveling, from the mother to the infant.
Wow.
So there is a very large problem with toxic chemicals being pushed as the solution instead of the problem, and so that seems to be a big common misconception, is that the food that looks really good and shiny is the best for you. So even, I say sometimes processed food on a shelf in a grocery store doesn't look processed. It can look like a red apple, or it can look like green grapes, or it can look like red strawberries, but the amount of chemicals needed to produce those and to keep them looking that beautiful, consumers only want pretty stuff now. Organic food, natural food that we grow without chemicals, there are going to be some bugs that are going to come after your food. So they're not going to be the most beautiful. They're not going to be necessarily gorgeous, and they're not going to be appealing to the eye, but your body will love you for it. And if you eat that food that is, produced without any external chemicals or pesticides or herbicides or any of those things that, homicide means you're killing a person, all these other sides, we're killing things, we're just constantly killing stuff. So if we're going to take live food and put stuff that kills stuff on it, what in effect do you think that does to the food? May look alive, may look fantastic, may look great, but it was probably sprayed with a wax to keep it that way, so it can stay fresh for looking for a month on the shelf.
It's pretty.
And so you're getting food from hundreds, if not thousands of miles away, other countries across oceans. We're able to get food that we've never been able to get at any time of the year. That's not local, that's not, so again, I lost the question.
No, that was perfect. Basically, really trying to get an idea of, why is it that, I need to supplement? And the foundation, the response that you gave us was that, food quality isn't what it used to be.
Correct.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned that. My last broadcast, I did a story on a product, a synthetic product that's added, or food additive. It's called TBHQ, and it's tert-butyl hydroquinone. And it's and you're familiar with it.
I am.
So and it was found that in addition to a lot of other harmful side effects, it also has a negative effect by impacting the body's natural immune function. It harms immunity. And what is everybody talking about now? the immune system, because we want to have an immune system that's primed and ready to fight off the effects should we become exposed to or contract the coronavirus. And then it went on to discuss just a slew of different products that TBHQ is found in. And I hit some real topic ones, some real hot topic items. Pop-Tarts, those pre-packaged Rice Krispie treats, Reese's peanut butter cups, a lot of these snack foods that have it. And next time you go to the grocery store, flip over a box of Pop-Tarts on the back, and you'll see the initials TBHQ. And again, TBHQ, terbutyl hydroquinone, and it has been found to suppress the body's immune system. So you've got to be careful about what you eat. And another reason that it's used, from what I understand, is to extend the shelf life of food, so that, like you said, they are looking prettier longer. Yep. If that apple isn't quite that red, you're not going to get it. If that ground beef that you get out of a package isn't, doesn't look brightly colored, starts to take on a little gray tone, yep, people aren't going to want it. It doesn't mean it's bad for you, but it does mean that it's not as appealing, like you said. So you have to be really careful about that. So I appreciate you responding to that. So you've been with GNC for how long now?
About 12 years.
12 years. So you know your stuff. You know the ins and outs. We've seen competitors come and go. You know what's out there. You know what the industry is like and how it's developed, and it's in the process of changing now. But how does what you do at your store or stores, you've been at different locations in that, how does that differ from, a Capital Discount Nutrition, a Vitamin Shop, a Vitamin World? How does that experience change when I set foot in your store as opposed to going into one of those?
So at my store, we are, like I said, I practice relationship sales. So I want to get to know my customers by name. I want to know, what's important to them, what's going to work for them. And so I'm not just a clerk that is going to point you in the direction of what you need, and not ask you any questions. If you don't like to be talked to, if you don't like to have a conversation, then I don't necessarily recommend you coming to my store. But if you're open to, having an open dialect and communicate with me, what you're really wanting to do, I'll be open and honest with you. We'll have a good conversation, and we'll end up getting you what you want. If we don't have it in our store, I'll figure out the way to get it to you. If you're asking questions, like you said before, I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of research, so I typically find a helpful situation or solution to most people's issues. So,
so you actually you encourage questions.
I do. I ask a minimum, I would say, of 5 questions to any customer that it seems, into a dialectic with me. So if they're going to communicate, I want to know, what medications are you taking? What supplements are you taking? I want to know what supplements you've taken before that you liked, disliked, if you're brand new to the game. So, what's your diet like? What's your lifestyle like? How's your sleep? How's your energy? How's your, Gotcha. So humans are very complex beings, and there's a lot that goes to it. So like in the medical industry, they veer off, and everyone has a specialty. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes in the natural world, we take care of the biggest thing that you want to take care of, and that will take care of some of the other stuff along the way that may have been, side effects to a deficiency or a toxicity that we can, figure out. And mainly the last question I didn't fully answer, but basically most people in America specifically are deficient in a lot of vitamins and minerals. So bare minimum, multivitamin, fish oil if you don't eat fish, and depending on what those are the 2 bare minimums I recommend to people, because your body, doesn't make those things. You have to consume them.
So with the fish oil, for the benefits of the omega-3?
Correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. Perfect. GNC carries, it's more than just, athletic performance products and that. I mean, just running through your product line. So you got vitamins and supplements, protein, performance, herbs and natural solutions, digestion superfoods and green foods, weight management, beauty and skincare, food and drink, even equipment and accessories. And people say, GNC don't sell equipment. You ever see a shaker bottle in a GNC?
Yeah, we sell a lot of shaker bottles.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And throughout the years, it's definitely changed. As of now, we're not huge into the, should I say, equipment aspect of it. We do have a few things. We have some wedding rings for active people right now, the Qualos, and they
I wasn't aware of that.
they're made of rubber, some, very less than silver or gold, you can lose them. People are ordering 5 or 6 of them. So that's what we have now in excess besides the shaker cups. So yeah.
So of all those departments, all those lines that I mentioned, which is your most popular?
So I would say weight management is huge.
No, you weren't being funny with that, were you?
Weight management is a huge, not at all. I never try to be funny. I'm straight dead serious all the time. Laughing, so anyway, I not sarcastic at all. But yeah, it right now, and like you said, with the COVID-15 or the COVID-19, whatever you got, as far as your weight gain, every year, January 1st is the kickoff day for everyone to do their thing. And if you're at a gym, you're in a gym, you see, here come all the resolution people. Absolutely. And so people are breaking down doors of gyms and supplements in there. So at this time of year, it's weight loss because everyone's preparing for summer. So that would be the biggest one. But I mean, general nutrition, like the name implies, people come in, regularly for general nutrition. So that's my biggest specialty, is helping people with their nutrition and their health. The sports aspect, I definitely can put you in the right direction and give you, great advice on what to take and how to do it. My focus is more on, the nutrition, the healthy nutrition aspect of it. But yeah, like you said, there's a ton of categories, and sometimes, one herb will take care of numerous different things because it has so many different properties or chemicals that are in that plant to begin with. So natural medicine, was all plant medicine before we had these big factories producing petrochemical-based pharmaceuticals. So that's the root, and like Hippocrates said a long, long time ago, let food be thy medicine. And so
that's right.
Unfortunately, the food is being depleted. So you're going to have to, give yourself some supplemental help to bridge the gaps between what your diet is lacking and what you may be deficient in, because a multivitamin could honestly help most Americans in a great way. And if you never try it, you'll never know. So,
and Taylor, that is a perfect lead in to the next question I have for you. When I'm engaging as an exercise rehab therapist, physical therapist, personal trainer, I try to instill in my clients and patients, social media followers and fans, the understanding that supplements are exactly that. They are meant to supplement something else. So muscle building supplements, they go hand in hand with resistance training. Weight loss supplements pair up with proper nutritional habits. Skincare products, in order for that to be effective, proper hydration levels are appropriate, right? So,
correct.
So that's kind of, I think folks will sometimes look at the supplements as an end-all, beat-all. It's the magic pill. It's the solution. I pop this, and whatever is I'm wanting to change about myself or improve is going to happen just like that. So where do you fall along that line of thinking?
So exactly as the name infers, it's supplemental. So supplements should supplement your diet and exercise, your lifestyle, whatever it is you're doing besides taking a supplement. So you may take one product, you may take 50. I would never recommend anyone taking a supplement over real whole food. If there's an option between eating real whole food and taking supplements, I would always say, veer towards putting your money in food, because the food is going to be ultimately a larger proportion of what you're putting in your body. So you literally are what you eat, because what you put into you becomes you. So you want to not necessarily become supplements. You would rather be, something alive. So
right.
People eat dead food expecting to live long.
Wow. Never thought about that one.
And so the more alive food you eat, I would say that might make you more alive. Just a hypothesis, but it seems to be working well for a lot of healthy people around the world for a lot of years. And the roots of medicine is all in food and plants, and yes, there's even stuff made from animals and different things, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be made in a lab. And it's supplemental. So take a multivitamin. Taking supplements is to increase what you already have, to enhance or to supplement what you're doing. So you don't want to ever just live off of supplements unless you're in a dire situation, trapped somewhere. Yeah. But taken correctly and wisely, supplements can be a great benefit. They can prevent so many things from ever happening that you would have to deal with the doctor. So it just makes logical sense that in a world with nutritional deficiencies, we would enhance and supplement our nutrition to meet the demands of the body. And with all the information we know about the human body, we still, it's still quite a mystery to us. We haven't yet discovered all of the viruses, bacterias, protozoas, different parasites, and all the things that make us do so many billion functions on a regular daily basis we never think of. So supplementing is, definitely eat food, supplement what you need. And if you have specific goals or specific ailments, you want to get rid of some disease, or you want to achieve some physical goals in the gym, gain muscle, lose weight, it's 95% what you're doing. It's not going to be, there's no magic pill.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha. If I walk into your store as an overweight individual, I'm looking for a weight loss product, where are you going to direct me? Where are you going to point me? Where are you going to recommend?
So we do have a weight loss section, but I would first go off and start asking you questions. So I never, as much as I can, I try not to use a cookie cutter model. So I don't just say, this is the one product, this is going to work for you, and it works for everyone else, so go ahead and take it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, like I explained, what are you taking? What have you taken? What is working for you? What is not working for you? What do you believe, in your opinion, has led to this weight gain? Did you notice that there was an injury? Was there a death in the family? Was there a loss that occurred? Was there something physical or emotional or medical that happened to you that caused this gain of weight? Okay. Were you locked in the house for a year and did not leave the house? That's kind of what we're dealing with now. And the majority of people have put on quite a few pounds. So we have products that are thermogenics that will increase your body temperature so you burn more calories. We have meal replacements that, if you're going to a drive-through or a vending machine for your lunch break or for, whatever, you can maybe eat a bar or drink a shake. That would give you the nutrients that, trick your body into thinking you had a real food meal, but, so it's not ideal, but it's a step in the right direction. And anything incrementally, that's, people want to think that they're just going to lose everything. And that's, now they have this, the booming field of liposuction and surgeries that help people lose weight really fast. And then they fail to tell them the side effects that, you're never going to be able to eat anything again almost. And it's, you get a certain amount of food if your stomach is this big and you're done. And so it just, we're removing internal organs and parts of people's bodies so that they can appear healthy on the outside, and they're not given the information to actually become truly healthy. Right. So kind of like steroids, it's cheating. but it's you think you're gonna. It's like the tortoise and the hare. You think that you're gonna win because you're the fastest and you got those results, but in 5 years from there, where are you going to be compared to the tortoise who did it and took
slow
his time?
And steady, and gotcha.
So that's about that.
So would that response hold true if I came into your store as let's say I'm morbidly obese? Same deal for the most part.
For the most part,
because I'm sure people come in. I need to lose this weight. What can I take? And you'll basically run through that checklist of questions. Same.
I mean, that's the thing, with people, food, drugs, and supplements can all interact with each other.
Sure. So
everything, is chemical based. I could spew off words all the time, and, it would be the chemicals that a banana has in it. And you would be, most people would not have a clue what I said, or and it's the same thing now with ingredient panels. I usually just try to give people, healthy daily tips to look at the ingredients that you're putting in your body. Do you know what that is? Do you understand what that is? Did you ever take the time to Google that or look up any of these things that, you get bread now and there's 50 ingredients. And it's
more than just flour, wheat, yeast.
Exactly. So that everything that's done is made for the gain of money now, and so we make things prettier, we make things last longer, so we don't have to throw things out and we don't get to lose our money. So for morbidly obese people, typically they're not coming to my store first off, because morbidly obese people aren't walking, they're not getting. So that's typically not what I see.
Okay.
But pretty much every customer, depending on their goal, is going to get, what's your lifestyle? What are you doing that you think is wrong? Why do you think you're in a position where you need to come to ask me that for help in the first place?
Got it.
Because it all starts with the person looking to improve or whatever their goal is.
Okay. I actually got this question from a few of my Facebook, my social media family.
Okay.
It was about protein powders.
Sure.
And so there are several different types. There's whey protein, there's casein, there's egg protein, there's plant, there's brown rice, there's pea. There's all these different types. Which one of them? I mean, can you maybe not delving into each one just for the sake of time, but can you just some basic differences? Let's say whey and casein, for example.
So whey and casein, cottage cheese. So casein is the curds, the hard part.
Okay.
That has a layer around it that's going to prevent it from breaking down immediately in the body. So it's a slow release protein. So that's usually used for long-term satisfying your appetite.
That's the case.
Casein. Correct.
So that sounds like something I might want to take later in the day or at night, maybe?
Correct. So typically bodybuilders will take casein before sleep. A natural form of it, or a more natural form of it, would be cottage cheese.
Okay.
Cottage cheese and milk are approximately 80% casein, 20% whey.
Okay.
So whey is the liquid that you see in the cottage cheese.
So when I pop open that cottage cheese after I get it home, and it's just kind of floating on the top, you can actually pour it out.
Correct.
That's whey.
That's whey.
Oh wow. Okay.
So and interestingly, I'm not, for any reason, I don't know why casein typically costs more than whey, because it's the bigger part of the milk, and it seems to be that it would be easier to do that. Anyway.
It's more prevalent.
Right. So anyway, whey protein is faster acting, so that is immediately released, especially as a powder. Once it's in your system, it's in your system.
Okay.
It's pre-digested protein. So the only thing, whey protein, whey isolate specifically, there's different types of even each of these. So there's subcategories. There's concentrate, there's isolate, there's hydrolyzed isolate. Depending on what grade you get, there's cleaner protein, more pure protein. Concentrate is the least pure typically. And then you move to isolate, which is more pure, and then hydrolyzed isolate, which breaks down the isolate protein into smaller peptides of protein. So it's immediate release.
So you can really go down the rabbit hole.
Right. That's why when that one question, you could do a whole hour and a half. But that's the main difference between casein and whey. Whey is typically post-workout or as soon as you wake up to get it in your system. Casein is typically after, later in the day, or either before bed or early in the day, to where you're trying to curb your appetite for some hours.
Gotcha. Okay. You mentioned like a good point, later in the day and that sort of thing. So briefly, besides the obvious, pre-workout supplements, post-workout supplements, are they really all that different?
Definitely. And it depends on the school of thought that you use. So there's so many out there now. But definitely, in the category, there's pre-workouts, there's intra-workouts, and there's post-workouts. So when you're working out and you're doing, some kind of regimen of bodybuilding or lifting or weight loss, the 2 hours around your workout before and after are really critical, because you want to supply yourself with stuff for the energy for the workout, and then you want to, have enough energy for the workout, and then you want to have the replenishment and the recovery of the nutrition that you need afterwards, after you beat your body up for that workout.
Okay.
So, it's typically pre-workouts. They contain caffeine. They contain stuff that will open up your blood vessels for better blood flow, nitric oxide enhancers, and they'll add stuff for like focus or strength or endurance, stuff like that.
Getting charged up, ready to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So those are typically, in your pre-workouts. Your intra-workouts are going to be your amino acids typically. You may use carbs. Some people will use carbs pre-workout because, fast carbs will break down immediately. Pop-Tarts is something, I have some bodybuilders, if they want to put on size, they'll eat a box of Pop-Tarts after the workout, and they, you can swell up pretty fast eating, cheap carbs.
Yeah, I bet.
Box of cereal,
Right.
Stuff like that. But yeah, typically it's all personal preference. Some people, if you want fast results, you can take a product at each interval, pre, intra, and post.
Yeah.
They're definitely different. You can, and like I said, I have some guys that use a cup of coffee and a niacin pill, and that's their pre-workout. And some people will do a Red Bull, or so there's very, in the traditional sense, there's pre, intra, and post, and they definitely have different ingredients, but it all depends on what it is you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to accomplish. That's why I always talk to people and find out, what goals you're trying to get, because they are going to be specific products. They're going to be more geared towards your goal. So whether it's weight loss or putting on muscle.
Okay. You talked a little bit about precautions. So an individual that may currently be taking prescription medications, anything specifically that those types of individuals should look out for before introducing supplements into their regimen?
So what I notice a lot of is that people on prescription medications are told by their doctor that as long as they're on this medication, that their problem is under control.
Okay.
So
let's use high blood pressure as an example.
As an example.
Okay.
So if you're on high blood pressure medication and you consume something that increases your body temperature or increases your heart rate or increases your energy, increases your,
a thermogenic.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Thermogenic, pre-workout, whatever have you, anything with caffeine, stimulants in it.
Yeah.
It can raise your blood pressure, your blood cholesterol, and your blood sugar levels. So, and the thing that people don't realize is, like you spoke on earlier, how people just claim that, and that's them, how they have, their diabetes, their blood pressure, their cholesterol, their problems, and they define themselves as that problem. So when everyone, again, this is going to be, it's always nuanced. It's not a simple answer. But for blood pressure, if you're on standard American drugs for the standard American diet, that means those are, diseases you gave yourself from your lifestyle. Those things, they're going to end up hindering you in the long run. Those pharmaceutical interventions are meant to get you out of that state. But what I see it doing for a lot of people is putting them in that state and eternally, because they're told they need to be on this forever because their body is broken and it can't heal itself.
Right.
So what's happening is people are, well, I already drink coffee. I already do energy drinks. I already do this. So I'm cool with taking a caffeine or thermogenic or this and that.
Yeah.
So I usually say veer away from caffeine stimulants if you're on any of the standard American, anti-cholesterol medication, lowering blood pressure medication, or metformin, any diabetes medication or water pill the doctor may sell you. Yes, I typically tell people to veer away from that, but if they're telling me that they're taking caffeine on a daily basis because their problem is under control and they're not going to change anything, then, I'm not going to tell them not. It's their body. They get to choose. So I always give, I give the warnings. Yohimbe is a huge one. Never recommend that for anyone that can cause heart attacks. So it's bark from a tree in Africa, and it does increase your heart rate significantly if you take higher doses. So caffeine, stimulants, Yohimbe is specifically the number one thing I would say. No blood pressure, you need to be having a clean bill of health. What your body does when it has chemicals it doesn't realize what they are in it is it has to figure out a new way of working around those chemicals. So it has to adapt a whole new lifestyle internally. So it all depends on what you're comfortable with.
Okay. All right. Just a couple more. For me, early in my training career, selecting the right protein powder, which is kind of like my introduction into supplements, it was trial and error, because I would try some and some of them made me feel bloated. Some of them made me feel gassy. Some of them gave me cramps. Some of them I hated the taste of. So it took me, I went through about 7 before I found one that I really liked. So now I usually recommend people that are looking to get into supplementation, particularly protein powders and that, I either recommend that they ask for a sample if it's available, or if not, buy the smallest size possible. Don't go for the big 2.2 pound.
Right.
Maybe if there's 1 pound or whatever the case might be. That's usually what I recommend. So, school of thought on that?
So yeah, basically same concept. I would say with anything, you're not gonna know until you know. You can't. You can take someone else's word for it, and your friend may tell you this is the greatest thing in the world, but you may buy it and then come back the next day saying that they kept me up all night. I was throwing up. I had diarrhea. Whatever the case may be. So, like you said, trial and error.
And that's it's that trial and error is actually expensive.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about GNC is we do offer a 30-day return policy after it's open. So if you do have an issue with it, we're going to be cool with giving you, the option of returning your product and trying the next flavor or the next company or the next. So that's, one of the awesome things we do offer.
That's huge, because I didn't have that when I first started. I wasn't at a GNC. So I was stuck with it.
Right.
A product that I couldn't use, that was give me all these side effects, and that was just money right down the drain.
Pretty much. So yeah, like I said, it's with anything, if you're gonna go to a restaurant and you order something one time, if you don't like it, you don't order it again.
Yeah.
And same thing with supplements, if you find something, if you find a brand you like, you can stick with that brand, you can veer off. The flavoring, is awesome these days. The chemistry, the food chemistry involved with flavoring foods now is through the roof, and they can, we now have Chips Ahoy and Nutter Butter and Girl Scout cookie flavored, proteins on our shelves. So typically, we can find something that is suitable. I try to tell people, think of your supplements as your medicine. If you were told by a doctor you have to take this or you're going to die or you're going to be sick, you would probably take that even if you didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, unless you have an adverse event or a problem, if the taste is the problem, I need to tell people get over it. So it's again, everyone has different feelings. Some people I think maybe sensitive. You know, you're not always going to find, you know, the thing that you need is going to taste the best or have the best texture or have, you know, but the most important part when you're taking supplements is that you're getting the intended effect to occur.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are products out there that, you know, quite frankly, you know, taste horrible. Cod liver oil ain't fun to taste.
Right. Black seed oil.
Black seed oil is gross, in my opinion.
Right.
Some other people might you know, think differently. Apple cider vinegar, that's not the best thing to be, you know, chugging.
Right.
But there are some very beneficial effects to each one of those products that we just mentioned. So that leads me to the next question, which is, you know, are there any exciting products out there that maybe the viewing audience is not familiar with that you want to share with us? Anything that makes the antenna of Taylor Novak perk up, and if you're just excited to share anything like that?
So, I'm like I said, I'm always reading and always researching, and so my current experiment is with food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Food grade hydrogen peroxide. What exactly is that?
So chemical structure is H2O2. So it's basically H2O, which would be water with an extra oxygen molecule attached to it.
Okay.
So what that effectively does, and I don't recommend this for anyone, you know, doing research on it, but it adds extra oxygen to your cells. And in the human body, we actually produce small amounts of hydrogen peroxidase, or hydrogen peroxide. Peroxidase is what breaks down that, but it is our defense mechanism for our innate immune system. So it will destroy viruses, bacteria, and other things that, you know, your body doesn't necessarily want in there. So they come, you know, through your nose, it comes.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, you know, a couple drops here, a couple drops there, and then I've heard, you know, significant results with people suffering from, you know, any virus or cold or flu, with actually using a diffuser like albuterol. So you would, you know, dilute it appropriately, saline water, and then, you know, inhale it, you know, 1, 2, 3 times a day, and then, you know, usually symptoms of things will go away very rapidly. So I'm experimenting with that right now. I haven't done the nebulized thing yet.
Okay.
But it's not new. It's new to me. So I always like to. But yeah, there's you know, all the new stuff is going to be specifically gene based. You know, gene therapy is the huge thing now, and people are
been hearing a lot about that.
Yep. So yeah, you know, we're coming close to a time where we could technically, you know, figure your DNA and then figure out the specific DNA that will help you and mRNA into you and fix the problem. But in order to do that, I do need your specific DNA first. So
sounds like science fiction stuff.
At this point in time, yeah, we need specific, but that's the future. Probiotics is also huge. Prebiotics, the food that actually the bacteria eats in your body, which is just fiber. So, you know, if you're eating leafy greens, if you're eating sources of fiber that good bacteria like, then you're going to have a population more so good bacteria in your body.
And that takes place in the gut, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is huge for your immune system. That's where your immune system is based.
Okay.
So prebiotics, probiotics are the good bacteria that produce good benefits in the body. Prebiotics is what probiotics will eat, and then when you fill yourself filled with garbage, then you're going to produce bacteria that likes to eat garbage. So that's what you'll have growing inside your body is bacteria that the human body is not used to. So current studies show that I think that the human gut right now is 90% deficient in the bacteria that we used to have about 150 years ago.
Wow.
So very interesting, and there's so much discoveries, you know, that we have to make still. And there's so much research going on constantly and daily that there's always new things to look into. And the whole consensus science and the new way of doing science is not my preferred way, because not everybody should agree. And there are, you know, different schools of thought, and we should all be able to have conversations and dialectic, sophisticated, you know, adult conversations about what we're going to do. And so that's my take on those. The new exciting stuff is always exciting.
Thanks for sharing that. So that leads me up to the question that I'm sure other people have on their mind as well. How can folks get in touch with you if they want more information, if they want to stop by your store, if they want to be enlightened into the supplement world? Maybe they're novices just getting started. Maybe they're seasoned veterans and they're looking to step their game up. How do folks reach out to Taylor Novak?
Well, I would say right now, come check me out at the GNC in Madison. We're on Lincoln Highway by 57 in Cicero. And I am on Facebook, but I don't really do much on there. So that may change, but we'll see.
Okay. So the GNC location in Matson, Illinois, right on Lincoln Highway.
Correct.
And you got any markers in terms of what it's close to or next to?
So it's next to the Paneras by the Burlington and the Marshalls and in that whole.
The strip mall area.
Strip mall area.
Got it. All right, perfect. Well, Taylor, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. I'm glad we're able to do this.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
Oh, man. And, actually, I'd like to have you come back at another time because there's just so much out there in terms of supplementation. Yeah. It'd be great to have you come back on as a guest and talk about some issues further.
As you see, I can expand on a lot of things. So.
Yes, absolutely. So
anytime.
Great. All right. So we're going to get ready to close out. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with all of you. Hope you enjoyed the show. And so make sure that you tune in next week because next week we've got our new broadcast, and that is going to take place on, I believe that the date for that is April 23rd. And I've got another guest that's Friday, April 23rd at 11 a.m. Special guest is going to be fitness professional and competitor, Miss Lakeisha, I call her Kate Hutchinson. She's going to be joining me for the next broadcast, and really looking forward to that. She's got a wealth of information that she's looking to share with everyone, given her experience as a fitness competitor, fitness model, and just overall fitness professional. So looking forward to doing that and sharing that event with you. So having said that, we're going to get ready to sign out. I appreciate again, your time and sharing the information with you and just getting that feedback. So we're going to keep things going again with our next show, which takes place a week from today. That is Friday, April 23rd, 11 a.m. So having said that, remember the Vanguard motto at all times, and that motto is train hard, eat clean, and stay focused. Until next time, stay healthy, my friends, and we'll be seeing you soon, all right? Take care.